Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
Oh, well, it's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. We are here. Welcome back to that show that warms your souls and fills your holes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And you just thought about that right now. You did not.
No, I thought about it today during the day.
You're lying.
But it is 9 p.m. Tuesday night.
Yes,
it is the Herschy and the Keegs Show. We are here.
Is.
I am Mike Keegan here with my compañero.
Thank you.
Mark Hirschman,
Correct.
Tony Walker on the ones and twos. Mm-hmm. And we have a special guest tonight. We haven't had a guest in a couple weeks.
It's amazing. We've been doing this show now for a little bit over, it's about a year and a half. And today we already have our favorite guest ever on the show. And we are beyond words incredibly happy to introduce our friend, legendary comedic personality, Mr. John Ziegler. Everybody.
Johnny Ziegler. How are you, sir?
So, how you doing, buddy?
Wow, look at that applause break.
Yeah.
Favorite guest. Couldn't get a bottle of water, but favorite guest of all time.
Embarrassing.
Hey, Mark will share his water.
Yeah, I filled this up from the tap about three times this week already.
More than I got.
Yeah.
John Ziegler, for those who don't know, and I can't imagine too many people not knowing, John Ziegler has been on the comedy scene for, 16 years now, John?
Wow, what you do a little diligence?
Well, no, so I know that I started in 2010, and I think you started like 2 years or 3 years before. Yeah, so you've been on the scene for a long time. Very well respected comic, not just on Long Island, but in the city and throughout the country. And we're not gonna delve too deep into it because it's something that he has talked about until he's literally blue in the face. But John is not that far removed from surviving pancreatic cancer. So when I say that this is our favorite moment tonight, it really is, because this is not just a respected comic, but he's a friend of Mike and I and Tony as well. And the fact that he's sitting here talking to us, looking incredibly well, is super significant to us. There's no joke in that, and it means a lot that you're here just because you are here, period. You can shit the bed tonight and it won't matter because we're super happy to see you.
Which is also how we found out.
That's exactly right. If you shit the bed, it's not a good sign. We know that we have to go back to the doctor.
But yeah, a couple years ago I had no confidence that we'd all be sitting here together tonight.
Well, so that's a great question. A couple of years ago, John, did you have confidence that you'd be sitting here or anywhere? No. Point blank. No.
That was it.
It was over. The game was over. Your diagnosis was when? What exact what time?
April 2021.
Okay,
so about 2.5 years.
So you're knee deep in the pandemic, thinking that the world is at the bottom. Your comedy work has dried up like everybody else because of COVID, and then you have pancreatic cancer.
It's a cheery start to a podcast. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
We warm your souls and fill.
I got lucky because I was kind of like, COVID was there, but it was dying down a little, so I was able to get normal treatment in a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I was there in like the heart of COVID, you couldn't even get a bed. There was things in the hallway and shit like that. So I got really good care.
Yeah,
it didn't like.
You're so lucky.
I'm so lucky.
You get all the breaks. The Jews get all the breaks.
I win the lottery.
You did.
So anyway, I've talked about having cancer on 74 different podcasts.
Yeah, that's why I wanted we needed to address it because it is the elephant in the room, and I don't think it's fair to our audience to not say that this guy has climbed the biggest mountain. We're not going to dwell on it, but it is important because you are significant to us and to the comedy community that you're here. You look well, you're doing well, and you're feeling good. You're doing okay.
Yeah, but is this video because I'm sitting really weird?
Yeah, just lay down. Lay down.
Slouched.
If you're suddenly not feeling well, lay down.
I just saw a camera in front of me, and I'm like, I should look.
I didn't want to say anything, but I'm like, the old Burt Reynolds pose. From,
I feel good. I feel normal.
You feel normal
for the most
normal.
Part. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'll tell you, I'm not really a crier, but we had that fundraiser show for you here, and when you went on stage, I cried in the showroom at Governor's like a little baby.
Because they wouldn't give you a spot?
Because you didn't get a spot,
and I
sold it out.
I'm like, Mick Thomas, not me. Like, no, exactly. You sold out. But
that was a very touching night. It was a lot for me. That was when I was really like right in the heart of it.
Yeah,
I had no idea what was going on. I don't
like. I was ready to say goodbye, and I'm like, all right, now
Right.
That's the only reason I lived. I killed that night. I'm like, I got more. I got more to give. It was
I'm sure
very
it did a little
emotional.
something for you. Yeah, I'm sure
Everybody showed up. People came out for me.
Yeah.
And,
Listen,
Mark, were you here?
I was out of town. I wasn't here actually. I would have been here. I reached out to John though. I was out of town.
Did I get that? I don't remember that text. Anyway.
Yeah, yes you do. You know I texted you. I texted you multiple times. Well, maybe I didn't hit send. No, I did. I did text you. You know I did a couple of times.
I'll take your word for it.
No, I'll go back into the text. I have them saved. Don't worry. I want to make sure that I have receipts on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me how this. You're ill. You get better, and then you decide. Well into your not later years, but you're certainly not 25, that you're going to get married. How did this whole thing come about?
I was sick.
Yeah.
And, you reevaluate a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Dawn's...
Plus, Dawn's an amazing person.
Dawn's been a rock for me. She's been there while I've been sick. And,
Yeah.
And comedy. Like, I owned the business in 2008. I made an actual living.
That's right.
Like, I was a functioning part of society.
Exactly.
I wasn't like a lot of, I had a career. I made a good living. I had, a nice apartment, drove a new car. Like, I had my shit together.
Yeah.
And then I woke up one day miserable, and I'm like, I'm going to be a comedian.
There you go.
And
that's what happens.
most people would be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to... And she was just like, that's what you want to do. Go do it. Like, she was always supportive with everything.
Supportive with the comedy and the sickness, and she's an amazing person.
I've heard I know I met her years ago, but I've heard incredible things about her. I heard you really hit it big this time. And, it's interesting. You said that most people would say, what the fuck you doing? Except comics understand how much happier you've probably been. Despite maybe not the same financial gain that you had, you're happier in this life than you were in that one. Am I right?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I owned a business. I was making a good living. I had status, which you think is going to make you happy. It's all bullshit. Like, I was like, people like, oh, I own Junction Fitness Group. It was a pretty well-known gym in Port Washington.
Sure.
Yeah.
People knew of it. I was hanging around all the steakhouses because I was training, like, the owners of, like, the steakhouses.
Yeah, Mike and I, we ran in those circles.
Yeah.
Gyms and the steakhouses.
Steakhouses,
not the gyms.
So,
Remember
I get comped at a lot of steakhouses too.
Remember filet night? We'd always see those gym guys were running around.
so it was a cool experience owning my own business and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I woke up every day miserable and stressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just feeling like, is this my life? Like, I just run this place. So I started comedy and never expected it to be my career. It started by coming here to Governors. I did a 6-person bringer show, like the open mic that's once a month.
Yeah.
Loved it. Then I did another one the next month. And then after like 5 months, I decided to take John Truson's comedy class because I knew he was the booker.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you did open mics before.
I did about 5
classes. Wow.
I used to go to bars to do open mics, but I never went up.
Yeah, okay.
I would get cold feet. I would go and I'd be like, yeah, maybe next time. Because it was like, you know what the open mics are. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
So it was a little cliquey. They were all doing like inside jokes. Like, and then Mark, he's going to the horse races. I'm like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Or they'd shit on the bar itself.
Yeah.
Or make fun of the comic before them.
So you're talking like Chesterfields, Huntington, that kind of thing? Like,
yeah, that was one. Back then it was the tattoo place in Belmont. Wild Child Tattoo.
Yeah. That was Tim Dillon and
Canal and Schendlinger, maybe.
Rooney was running it for a while. Joey Giorgiotano. If you remember Joey G, great guy.
Of course, I talk to Joey all the time. Yeah.
See, that was my first open mic. I didn't know that there were open mics at bars. I took the first thing I did was take Truson's class and took the class. Did the 2 graduation shows. I had no idea how to keep doing.
Well, I thought I was a business genius because I'm like, I ran a business. I thought I was smart. And Truson's the wrong guy to do this with. I'm like, he's the booker. I'll take his class and I'll kind of buddy up to him.
That'll get me in.
And I'm like, John's the last guy you want to try to be like, so, like, and kisses that because he can see right through that.
Exactly.
So I took the class. I worked really hard, but I took the class like, who's going to teach you how to be funny? Nobody can teach you, which is kind of true, but they can teach you how to write. They can teach you how to edit. They can teach you stage presence, how to prepare,
how to hold a mic, how to
all
not
the
hold a mic.
basic bullshit that guys I've seen some guys who are 5 years in the comedy who don't know comedy 101 yet.
That's right.
All this stuff when you just see the guy get on stage for the first time at a bar and you say that guy's doing everything wrong and that's the first impression you get out of him and you never see him again.
Yeah, you can't teach him to be funny, but you can teach him how to pull the funny out of him.
Yeah. And
how to write. And so I took the class and surprisingly really liked it.
Yeah,
I went in just being like, I'm just going to use this to get real spots. You don't know how this works. Then I did the grad classes, and they were fun. But then I was all in.
Yeah.
Then I had like the bug, so I had to start doing open mics.
Yeah.
Because I needed more stage time.
Exactly.
I wasn't working at Governor's. I was only doing bringer shows.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I started going to the open mics, which were what's the one Johnny McDonald runs in Huntington? What's that called up there?
Crab trees.
But it
now.
wasn't crab
It used
trees
to be
then.
that-
Strawberries was it back then? What was it?
No, it was.
It's had like 7 names over
Yeah,
there.
wasn't that Chesterfield's also?
I think that was.
Chesterfield
Yeah.
was
At one point-
upstairs from the.
Yeah,
That's it,
And
yeah.
now
Yeah.
it's Crab Trees, but it was something after Chesterfield.
That's the first open mic that I went to also, and he's talking about inside jokes, and it was Joey G, and it was Colazzo, and it was Harry Friedman, and they were all making like inside jokes. And I'm like, I'm not going to ever get into this community at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what you experienced, same exact
Well,
thing.
I was scared. You know, I had terrible performance anxiety my first year. Like,
Sure.
I would get sick the days of shows, but I
Yeah.
didn't want like fear to keep me from doing it.
Yeah.
So I would, like, it wasn't like a normal guy. I was like, I'm going to an open mic. It was like all day eating Jello
Yeah.
exactly.
and just
yeah.
being like, why am I doing
Still
this?
have that.
I was just gonna say, Mark has that.
I still deal with that.
16 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
So I started doing the mics, and guys, Truson and Keith Anthony, you guys know Keith.
Oh yeah.
They
Yep,
both. I
very
didn't
well.
know Keith back then, but he gave me really solid advice.
Yeah.
About doing the mics and how to use them, so I get something out of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I started doing mics, and that was about the time I walked into my business, and I told my partners, I'm like, yeah, I'm selling you the business.
Wow. Really.
Yeah, I sold it for like 10 cents on the dollar. Like I took a beating.
Yeah.
I just wanted out.
Yeah.
And I then I dove into comedy. I started working. So year 1 of comedy, I did about 12 shows, 10, about 10 shows total.
Yeah.
Well, mostly bringer shows here at the club.
Yep.
And then year 2, I probably did about 40, 30, 40, something in that range. Year 3, I did about 350.
Yeah.
That's when by year 3, and then I started getting Thursday, Sundays here at Governor's. I started getting fundraiser shows.
And that's when I started, and so every time I was on a Thursday or Sunday show, I would work with you, and then I got to know you, and you were starting to run with Laurie and Anthony a lot at that point.
Those were the 2 comics I first met.
Yeah.
Joey G.
Yeah.
Rooney came along slightly
little bit later.
after that. So did Louderback and McKenna. Those are my friends.
It was definitely
and
you.
Keegan was right around that time.
I'm here. Yeah.
But I'm saying in 2010 when I started, it was Ziegler, Anthony started a few months before me, and Laurie around the same time, and that was your crew, and you guys were working your asses off. You were working your asses off, and of course, in a community, as we were just talking about a little bit before the show started, that's not always the nicest place to be. You know, there was, I'm sure you remember, a lot of backbiting and people questioning, why are those people getting spots? Why are they getting spots?
A little bit, but I got that from people that just are never going to do this.
That are never
That's
going to do it.
exactly right.
So their words didn't mean much to me. They're like, why are you getting spots? I'm like, because I work hard at comedy.
So
and I
that's
write
the whole
everything.
thing.
That's the reason I do this.
People were happy to say that, yet you, Ant, and Laurie were busting your asses out there.
They got it worse than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not deserved. I mean, they
They didn't do nothing
they were
to deserve
hustling.
it. Yeah, but I think I didn't get a lot of the backlash that they got a little bit.
They got a ton of it. I mean, like adding to yours, when I first started in Truson's class, it was you, Anthony, and Laurie were sitting in on some of the classes. So you guys are the kind of the veterans that I had known, and closing out the graduation shows when I did them. And then that's how I got to know you guys. And then a lot of people are saying, like, why are they getting all this?
I don't know. It's funny.
But it's the guys that are saying that are the ones that aren't going to the open mics and get up once every 2 months. And
Look, there's some luck involved.
yeah.
I learned this when I started. If you work hard, are nice to everybody, are not a mental patient,
Yeah.
like you'll get some work. Being funny is almost fourth.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just be a decent, working,
Respectful at the club.
human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're moderately funny, people may take a look at you and
Yeah.
let you develop. So I always tried to be nice to everybody, not because I was trying to get something, because it's just you should be nice to people. It's
Yeah.
not that it's not that crazy of a concept.
Like
Just be respectful of people. I met my friends who worked hard. I had a crew, and that's good to have because look, mics suck. They sucked 15 years ago. They suck now.
Yeah.
I've never been to a good open mic. It doesn't exist. I've been to some that are better than others.
Sure.
I used to enjoy doing the Belmore Bean when Les was running
That was
it.
a fun open mic.
Because Les has never been in a bad mood, I don't think,
Exactly.
ever.
No.
It's like the nicest man on the
nicest
planet.
man in the world.
And it was a cool little coffee place. It was comfortable. And we had a good crew. Grillo used to go down,
Yeah.
Calcagno.
Yeah, that's a little bit later. You're talking now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was later.
Yeah.
But it was like...
that was a lot of fun. That was a great mic.
Those mics were fun.
Yeah.
Because afterwards we'd all go to the diner. They have that International Diner, has all the ice cream right
International
in Belmore.
Delight. Yeah.
International Delight.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I live for
exactly.
ice cream after the mics. It was a fun night.
Yeah. I even missed the ones that they had here though, because there were always a couple hundred people in the audience at the ones at Governor's
here at the
Brokerage,
club?
the ones that you hosted
And then
at
he
the
hosted
Brokerage.
the
Well, those were bringer shows that I
Those
ran.
are bringer mics,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I would pack those in. That's a different. I always tell the difference between the two is like going to a mic is just go there and work on your shit. You sign your name, you go up.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of feedback. You're there for you.
Yeah.
And then if you do a bunch of those, it's good to do like the bringer shows here at the club because now you have 150, 200 people maybe.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the gig room, it's still 80 people.
That are going to hear the 7 minutes that you've been working
That
on.
now you can do your stuff you've worked on and get actual feedback of, okay, now it's not 8 mental patients laughing at my dick joke.
Yeah.
Now it's an audience, and I can get honest feedback. Is this working? Is this funny? So that's what I started doing, is doing a bunch of mics, and then doing a bringer show to see, like, is it work? Then I got lucky, and there was luck involved. They started using me on Thursday, Sundays, and I got a lot of them, like almost every Thursday, Sunday. So I had, like, 7 to 8 shows a month where I was getting, like 8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was hosting them. I was getting to host a lot of Thursday, Sundays, which is a different skill set.
I was on a lot of them with you. I remember it very, very well, of course.
I can crush raffle baskets. I get 50 of them in 3 minutes. And then I started getting hosting jobs on weekends. And I remember the first, you guys, Tommy might have been before. You remember Tommy Dunside?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I knew Tommy.
Tommy was kind of like, I guess, managing. I don't know what he did here. Worked at
Yeah,
the
well,
club.
Ginny was here, Mark and Tommy, yeah.
And Tommy called me. I was at work. I still had my fitness studio. I was working there as a consultant. I stayed on.
Yeah.
And Tommy called me. He's like, Mr. Truson wants to know if you want to work this weekend. And I was like I felt like they called me from the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I called.
Dude, it was huge.
I called people on the way home. I was like, I got the call.
Yeah.
Like
you
my
get
life
called
was
up from the bigs, yeah.
it meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And I hosted my first weekend was Vic DiBitetto before he was famous.
Oh, wow. Really?
But it
Right.
was before Bread and Milk. You know?
Yeah.
And it was Mike Burton was the middle, who's a headliner.
Killer.
And so it was
Fucking
me,
killer
Mike Burton,
comic.
and Vic DiBitetto, and I couldn't say DiBitetto.
Yeah.
And if you know Vic, if you ever talked to him, Vic's
Yeah.
loud on stage. Vic's very soft-spoken,
Sweet
nice
guy.
dude
Absolutely,
off stage.
of course.
So Vic was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it if you screw up my last name." It's like, "That's DiBitetto." I go,
Yeah.
So the whole night I'm going, DiBitetto. Then I get up there and forget Vic.
Oh, yeah. Anwar DiBitetto.
I was like, now your headliner, Mr. DiBitetto.
Yeah.
I did. I forgot
He's not
Vic.
famous yet.
That's only happened to me twice. The other was Carmen Lynch, who I was actually friendly with.
Yeah.
And forgot her name. That would be like me forgetting Keegan's name.
That
Right.
honestly happened to me, and this is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I've known Monty for
Yeah, how do you forget
long? He's one of
Monty's?
Yeah.
the easiest name on the planet. We're doing a show at Chris and Tony's, and I'm hosting, and Monty's walking up to the stage, and I go, "Now your headliner." I couldn't fucking remember his name. I'm like, I've been friends with this guy for
You
6
should
years.
have just said Dean Martin. Nobody would have known the
Oh,
difference.
yeah.
Nobody would have known the difference.
Well, what I started doing is I know Carmen,
Yeah.
so I started just giving facts about Carmen.
Right.
I'm like, she's a tall.
You're a very tall lady.
She, I go, she's
Half
roommates-
Spanish.
I think her intro is she's roommates with Liz Mealy.
Yeah.
And then Carmen's yelling because she don't give a crap. Carmen's like, I'm like, what's her name again? She's like, Suzanne. I'm like, it's not Suzanne. But you go blank.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now I wouldn't have reacted the same. Because now you just realize it doesn't matter.
Right.
And you calm down and go, oh, Carmen, that's it. You don't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But back then I was like, I sold my business. I don't remember. Like, I thought my life was over because I forgot her name. It doesn't matter. Truson's laughing in the back of the room.
That's
Nobody gives a
amazing.
shit.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a second though to the beginning part. And I remember a veteran comic had said to me when I was obviously very green and new, and I remember thinking like, why do comics shit talk other comics? And the answer was, it's about jealousy and it's about not working as hard as them. The bottom line is, if you just want to be in that same situation, just work harder.
Exactly.
Just work harder, and it doesn't matter what they're doing or how they got their spots. It's work harder.
Don't put zero effort into it and then blame everybody else for your shortcomings. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
there's reasons
why you like this.
There's generally reasons why everyone winds up everywhere, right? I mean, I'm just saying, there's a reason why people wind up. Yes, is it maybe someone likes you a little bit more because of this or whatever the case, or because Ziegler's such a nice guy? But ultimately, it all comes out in the wash.
Yeah,
You're going to wind up getting an opportunity if you deserve it, and you're going to wind up not getting an opportunity if you don't deserve it.
See, I didn't deal with it. Everybody talks about all the shit talking. I really never.
Well, I've never heard one person say a bad thing
Well,
about
no,
it.
I've heard some. It's come to my
Really?
ears. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But I understand. Like, for the most part, 98% of the comics I work with were fine. But
Yeah.
I'm saying comics. There's a
Exactly.
difference between
You're
running around an
separating.
open mic
Comics
circuit with people.
and dabblers.
Yeah.
I'm talking
George
people
Gallo
who
calls
have
them.
Yeah, but people who have worked hard and got passed and wrote an
I'm
act
a
and take this
dabbler.
seriously, I never really had issues. And I'm talking as the higher I went up the
ladder, yeah.
social scale of comedy, when I met headliners that I've watched on O&A and Howard Stern and Comedy Central, and I met all these guys,
Sure.
they were all cool. And I can't, if you press me right now to tell me a comic who was a dick that was successful, I can't come up with one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there were guys that...
I'll come up with a few if you want to.
Jim Mark could come up with a few, yeah.
But
But John, I have to tell you though, and this is well before.
I'm sorry, I just had a brain. I just forgot Carmen Lynch's name again.
I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. You're a little bit of an anomaly. You always were, in the sense that nobody really ever had a negative word about Ziegler before the cancer. It wasn't like this was now he's sick. Let's worry about him. You somehow have always managed in this business, which again is sometimes a little bit ugly and cutthroat, where you just have your demeanor is to just be nice to people, and generally it happens
Most
back.
people were nice to me.
Yeah. Most
When
people
I
were nice to me too, but out of everybody, John is probably, out of all the comics that I came up with, kind of, the best to the newer comics.
Yeah,
You guys know I'm not still dying, right? This is you guys are being incredibly kind.
This is John Ziegler's eulogy that I didn't get to.
Yeah.
I wrote the fucking thing. I just haven't been able to use it.
Here's the thing: we wrote this the notes for this show 18 months
ago.
ago, so we're just going to use it.
Yeah, I keep having to cross out was. I'm like, he still is. Yeah, that's
BK
right.
Sweeney's, which is my town bar.
Yeah, I know.
I grew up in Bethpage, and the owner's known me since I'm probably 13 years old.
You and I have had lunch with Anthony at Madison's Tropical Smoothies in Bethpage.
That's right. So
time ago.
The owner at Sweeney's is very good to me.
Yeah.
And we're not close, but he's
him for a long time.
a Bethpage guy.
Sure, I
And
know
when
him.
I was sick, he threw a fundraiser for me there.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know it was a fundraiser. He's like, "You want to do a show here?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't know he was going to give me an envelope with all the money at the end of the night. Super
Unreal.
nice. So Roach was on the show. I called a bunch of my friends. I go, "Look, I don't really have a budget. I'll give you guys like $50 each. We'll have dinner."
Yeah.
It was like a Monday. So they all did it. And Roach's opening joke, he takes out a piece of, he goes, "I wrote this joke for John. I don't know if he'd like it. I don't know if I get a chance for him. And he took out a piece of paper and he's just so serious. And he goes, "What I'll miss most about John is his smile." It just breaks into like my
That's amazing.
that typical Roach.
That is very rude.
So we know the people that you expected to be good to you during this mess that you went through. Were you surprised by the Jim Brewers, the Bobby Collins, like people that you maybe weren't that close with, but Brewer obviously came through, was pushing your special, stuff like that. Were you surprised by that?
Bobby I know very well. Bobby I've been touring with for like 6 years. So
Yeah.
Bobby I'm close to.
Sure.
Brewer I've worked with, but he's worked with 8,000 John Zieglers.
Yeah.
So I did my first feature spot ever was Jim Brewer here at Governor's.
Okay.
Oh, really?
And it was 6 sold-out shows. And I remember I had quit my job for like by the 18th time. I had another job at that point.
Yeah.
And I called up Truce and I go, "Look, I quit my day job. If you have any spots."
Yeah,
And,
I'll take them.
And he goes, "You want a feature?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "This weekend, Jim Brewer, 6 sold-out shows. Don't fuck it up." And then he hung the phone up on me.
That's amazing.
Now, Mark was still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember before the show, Mark came in the green room. And you talk about installing confidence in a guy who's featuring. He's like, "Dude, you're a good guy, Ziegler. I like you." But he's like, "This is Brewer weekend. They're all sold out. We wanted like Roach and Monty. Tucson told me it was going to be you." And I was like, "Ziegler, nice kid, but..." And I'm like,
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
on stage in like 8 minutes, Mark.
Little pep talk from London.
But that's
Thanks,
an
Kipper.
easy show because featuring for Brewer is like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not really a feature spot because he does like an hour or something. So I had to do like 15 minutes. It was Brian John, who's a friend of mine.
nice.
Brian hosted.
Terrific comic.
I haven't seen
Absolutely.
Brian in a long time.
Yeah,
He's
real
great.
good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Brewer's easy. The easiest dude in the world. So it really wasn't. And his crowds are hot. They're
Yeah.
into like he has a built-in audience and they're hot crowds. So like I had a really good 15 minutes. So by the end of the weekend, Mark was like, "Big things coming for you, Ziegler."
Yeah. Right.
So that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So Brewer found out about me because Brian McKenna, who's one of my closest friends, Brian tours with
Middles
Brewer.
for him a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Now he plays the doctor in a sketch at the beginning of my special.
Yep.
So he was looking at it on the phone.
Oh, the special "Getting Your Affairs in Order" now available on
Now,
YouTube.
That's available on YouTube, johnzieglercomedy.com. So Brewer looked over his shoulder and saw it. He goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, my friend Ziegler is a comic. He has cancer, and it's not looking good." And he goes, "I did the sketch." So Brewer's wife has been dealing with cancer for
for years,
and
yeah.
she was stage 4. She went into a trial. She's doing good. So Jim was like, have him on the podcast. And then a few months went by, and it just wasn't happening. And I called McKenna. I go, can you talk to Brewer? Because tell him, like, this is not an open-ended, like, I don't, like this kind of has to happen soon.
There's a timeline here.
So we got it done. No, I thought I was doing a spot. I did this through Zoom. I was living in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He's in Florida, Jim. Yeah. So I thought I was going to do like 8 minutes. He'd give me a little plug. I didn't know it was like a 45-minute episode on me. And he watched my entire special and brought up it was very flattering.
I watched the interview, and that's why I was so impressed by how invested he was. Yeah. He knew everything about it.
Is Brewer's become unintentionally like the spokesperson for the right, which he's not and doesn't want to. But he just speaks his mind and says what he believes.
Yep.
So I went on there, and my comments from being honest were like, amazing, great story, inspirational to. Maybe you got it from the vaccine. Like they were either like great job or.
Yeah.
Call me a flat earther or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, how'd I get?
Oh my god.
Is McKenna? Is he on the right? Also, I don't really know his. No.
Kind of. Whatever.
Middle. Yeah.
Reasonable human being.
Reasonable.
Yeah. Really,
reasonable guy.
I did that Mike Loftus thing with Brewer. Like he does that sketch, very right wing.
Oh, the Suffolk County joint
show.
in that
out in Ronkonkoma.
That show tonight.
That show tonight.
Yeah.
What's the name of that warehouse? The America First
warehouse, which looks like Donald Trump fucking.
But it was the Klan house. No,
it looks like Donald Trump threw up in this warehouse.
You fucking texted me that you were the happiest you've ever been in that place.
That was like, was I born here? Like that's how I felt.
I had a chance to open.
You were conceived there.
I had a chance to do warm up. I just never did it because my schedule.
Yeah, I did it a few times. It was cool, but the first or second time I did it was with Brewer. And it's a sketch comedy show. I'm like, am I really watching Jim Brewer do sketch comedy right now? It's fucking awesome. Like he did Biden. Like it was really cool. And then I saw him. We were in the same dressing room. I got to see him with no pants on. It was fucking awesome.
Brewer. So I'll tell you real quick my Brewer encounter. So this was a few years ago. I went to a Met game with a buddy of mine, and we pulled into a parking lot right by. We were getting like really good seats. So we were going into like the press entrance, and in the parking lot there were two people. Jim Brewer and his daughter playing wiffle ball. That was it. Nobody else.
That's cool.
So I went up to him and I'm like, hey dude, don't you open for Brian McKenna? And he's like, what? I'm like, dude, I'm just kidding. I'm friends with McKenna. I'm a comic. I'm from Valley Stream, and we took a selfie together, sent it to McKenna, and he was the coolest, like super
He's a good guy. So I worked with him. Obviously, he's been doing this for 35 years, and he tours he meets guys like me all the time.
Yeah.
But I did the Wilbur Theater in Boston with him,
which
was an awesome experience. It's like a legendary theater.
Yeah. Of course.
And again, so easy. He doesn't care what I do.
Yeah.
I go, what do you want me? He goes, try not to say fuck, and then he went to sleep. Like, he doesn't care. He was great. And I met him in Montreal. He was working on something in Montreal, and he was working on a project with Mark Lund that used to be part owner here. Yeah. And we all went out to breakfast.
That's cool.
And I brought it up on the podcast, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember." I go, "You don't. That's cool. Don't worry about it." He's a real nice guy, and I appreciate him plugging me. And it gave me a bump. I got like 30,000 views on my special like that week.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so he didn't have to do that. He's just a good guy. He did that.
He just did it because he watched the special, and he watched it with his wife, which was pretty cool because she's been through it.
Yeah.
And he said I hit on a lot of.
Yeah. A lot of shit.
It's a great special, and everyone needs to check it out.
Tell us a little bit about your days with Jimmy J.J. Walker. I know you've worked with him a bunch of times.
That's what we want to talk about?
Yeah, I do.
My 1 week at the Borgata?
That's really
I do want to hear it because obviously that's someone that I grew up watching. And
is when if you've ever done the Borgata.
I have.
You have actually.
Yeah. So
I've gambled there.
You've gambled. It's similar.
Yeah.
So you get a schlag card.
Yeah.
So you can go. You eat in the cafeteria where the other people eat.
Yeah.
And so we would do the show. You don't work a lot. You work like 20 minutes. You're there all day. Yeah. You do your 20 minutes. The show's like an hour and 15.
Show's at 9 o'clock. It's not. I think it's cut off at an hour because they want to get people.
They want to gamble. So it's tight. The casinos are different. Casinos is no like you're off this you're supposed to be off the stage. Get off the stage
because three 20-minute spots.
They calculate.
Yeah.
At the time, it was different.
Okay.
Because I was doing it when Richie Minervini was booking it, and it was like a MC middle headliner.
Yeah.
So I was with a guy named Jimmy Dunn, Boston comic, great guy. Used to be on a sitcom with the guy from New Kids on the Block.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie Wahlberg?
Joey McIntyre.
Joey McIntyre, yeah. They used
I might be familiar with the show.
So Jimmy Dunn played his like big goofy brother.
Yeah.
He actually auditioned to play Mott on Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah.
Really? And they found the bigger, doofier guy.
Looks like they miscast that one, huh?
So Jimmy was great. So there's a place called White House Subs in Atlantic City, which is legendary. Been there for, 75 years. But it's a little off the boardwalk. A little sketchy. Yeah. A lot of tourists, though. So Jimmy Walker's like, we got to go to White House Subs. So it was a really cool experience because I'm 55. So I was 1977. I was watching Good Times.
Yeah.
When I was 10, 11
what I'm
years
saying.
old.
That's why I'm a few years younger than you.
It's on a Zenith television, like cross-legged in my living room watching Jimmy Walker, and we had the best conversations because we would eat in this cafeteria after the show, and we talked till like 2 a.m. He talked because his stories is like, oh, you know Aaron Spelling? Like you were on the Love Boat?
Yeah, right.
Like
exactly,
he was going to be. He told me he had a chance to be Ted Lang on the Love Boat.
Oh, really? No shit. Yeah.
But he had contractual issues because he was still hooked up with Good Times, and so he couldn't do it.
Yeah, so I mean, he was literally on the cover of TV Guide. He was on the cover
I have that in my car right now.
He was the one of the biggest stars in the entire world, basically.
He had great stories.
I'm
He used
sure
to
he's
be
good.
on the Chitlin circuit, Joe Black Comics, and I go, who was on that with you? Like making, and he's like, I was like Richard Pryor, Red Fox. I'm like, holy,
Steve Russell.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like crazy, like who's who of comics.
You were on the Chitlin tour, but it was just Cracker Barrel, though. That's not.
It's good.
Hey-oh, you have a little bell you can ring, something.
So he was a good guy, and he was fun to talk to because I'm a nerd, a comedy nerd.
Yeah.
I grew up on Carson with my dad.
Yeah.
70s, and early Saturday Night Live. You know, like that was my because of my age.
Yeah.
I grew up on old school pre-internet shit, and I was obsessed with comedy.
Yeah.
Obsessed. So me and Jimmy Walker was cool. And he's just like a regular. He's like 70 years old.
And he's still out there plugging away.
Yeah, he was touring.
You ever hear him tell his Freddie Prinze, John Travolta story?
He told it to me.
Did he tell you that? So
hilarious,
that's a great. So you know that story?
I'd like to hear it from one of you two.
He was with
Just
Freddie
pick
Prinze.
up the names. They're on the floor. Just keep dropping.
He was with Freddie Prinze. Not Freddie Prinze Jr.
No,
his
the
father.
real Freddie Prinze.
The real Freddie
would
Prinze
be the father of
They
the
were-
younger
they
one.
were- exactly. Freddie Prinze Sr.
Senior.
Because they were comics at the Comedy Store together, and this is when Freddie Prinze was super hot on Chico and the Man.
Yeah.
He was the hottest thing around. But now this young guy, John Travolta, comes along on Welcome Back, Kotter, and he's taken over. And Freddie Prinze had a really, really bad coke problem. So he's driving around with Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Allegedly,
coked out of his face. And he goes, I'm going to kill John Travolta. They stopped at a sporting goods store, and Freddie Prinze bought a crossbow. And they went to John Travolta's apartment.
Yeah.
And then and Freddie Prinze banging on the door. Jimmy Walker's like, he wasn't, he wanted nothing to do with it.
Right.
But Freddie Prinze coked out of his face, banging on the door. John Travolta's not home, but he shoots the crossbow into the door.
What?
Exactly.
Where?
And John Travolta came back and filed a police report. They actually showed a picture of the police report on the documentary about it. But
Yeah. So Ziegler, you're saying allegedly. So what part do you not believe of the story? You
no.
said
I'm saying no. I'm
You
talking
still
about
want
the
to
coke. I was kidding about the coke.
You don't want to
Oh,
incriminate.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the coke part.
I don't
we
know
know
if the
is a fact.
statute of limitations is up
Exactly.
in
Freddie
1970.
Prinze overdosed 45 years ago, so I think we're fine. Right?
He
Well,
shot himself.
But he was probably doing.
But he was very
I'm-
coked up
I'm
when he
sure
shot
he
himself.
wasn't sober during the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Travolta didn't know who put the arrow in his door for like 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Where? Yeah. Oh, in my door with a rubber arrow. But
So we should probably discuss this wedding. I'd love to tell you more anecdotes about Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Now, so Dawn's last name, was it Barnworth? What is her last name?
Ziegler.
Right. But no, I'm saying, did you change your last name or is she changing to yours?
She's gonna change it to mine.
Yeah.
But we have plane tickets to Florida. I'm doing a gig in Florida on Christmas, and she wanted to go, so we bought plane tickets. So I'm like, you can't change your name because your license won't match up to the tickets.
really, that's crazy.
Well, she can't put Ziegler on a license.
Exactly,
The tickets are on the bandwidth. So in January she'll be a Ziegler.
So is that like a little honeymoon type of thing?
No,
or
I'm
just
working.
Working.
Yeah, but she didn't want to be apart for Christmas Eve. My birthday is the 23rd. I fly on the 23rd.
Yep.
I have 2 shows Christmas Eve, 2 shows Christmas Day.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So
awesome.
she's like, maybe I'll go with you. She has some family down there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm working. She doesn't want to come to the shows.
Right.
She'll go see her family and
That's
do her
perfect.
thing.
Yeah, go down together.
So you guys are back. I know you were off the island for a bit. Now you're back. You're here.
I moved to Lindenhurst June 1st.
Okay.
I'm in Lindenhurst.
they were in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
So
birthplace of
how did the
Jesus.
PA thing happen? What was going
She
on?
has family up there.
Okay, so you were there for a
And
bit.
She was, look, being a comic is a hard life.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, always, this was like my first thing.
Yeah.
And she had enough of, she felt lonely and like she didn't have a life here, and she wanted to build a show. She's like, I'm going to Pennsylvania. And she moved, and then I moved.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a place, and I wasn't happy there because there's no comedy there.
Right.
I don't have any friends or family there.
Yeah.
The food sucks. Now, I like her family.
Yeah.
which really helps because you don't always like the family of but I like her family, and she's got like a bunch of nieces and nephews that I love like they're my own. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun on the weekends. We'd go over our brother's house or our sister's house. They'd have dinner. We'd watch football. We'd take the kids out for the day. And, you know, she misses that a lot. But I had no life in Pennsylvania.
And you're going back and forth.
Plus, I was sick, and my doctors were here. So I was sick the entire time I was in
Pennsylvania. And then the whole pancreatic cancer thing in the middle of that. That whole little hindrance.
Well, I signed the lease, and I got diagnosed like 3 days after I signed the lease.
Oh, man.
So all my treatments were in New York, and I would not change doctors.
Yeah.
Well, of course, yeah.
And I had good care. I wasn't going to like some Allentown.
Right, yeah. Walk-in clinic.
Yeah, when you signed the lease, you still had your apartment here on Long Island. Oh, no.
I had for like a month, but I couldn't afford to pay. So I ended up, a family, that's like my family, had a loft over there, garage, like a bathroom and stuff. And they're like, just stay here while you do chemo. You guys can crash here when you want. They had a queen bed, or full. I couldn't really... And so I ended up buying like a bed to put at the foot of the bed because Dawn worked here, but she would leave me here and go back to PA. It was a really rough 2 years. It was a lot of living out of boxes, back and forth every week. We'd get up at like 3:30 in the morning to come home when she had work because she had to beat the traffic.
And the cancer.
The cancer thing. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's
what a nuisance.
That's a lot of plates, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it was a lot going on. But you know what the funny thing is when you're in it, it's like being in a boxing match. Like it hurts a lot more the next day. Like Tony, you've been through this. Do you agree with me?
100%, pal.
Yeah, like when you're in it, you're just like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, and you're just fighting. It's when it ends that.
That's when you have a second to actually step back and say, holy, what the fuck just happened?
Exactly. So like, you guys know Jack Adam?
Yeah.
Jack's a good friend of mine, but he's very dry.
Yeah.
So I said, Jack, it's really weird, man. When I was in it, I was okay.
Yeah.
I go, now, like I don't know why I feel all these things. It's like I have post-traumatic stress disorder. Why would I get that now? And he just so quietly looks at me and goes, yeah, that's why they call it post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what the post stands for. After.
Exactly, there you go.
I get it. So mentally you go through... I've been talking to Northwell. I've been involved with speaking at Northwell and talking to Northwell because they have programs, and they like the fact that I'm, one, a survivor, and two, a public speaker, so they can utilize me.
Yeah.
I spoke at they have a Cancer Survivors Day. I was like the keynote speaker. So it's 1,200 cancer survivors, and I did my cancer jokes. And they went over really well. Yeah. And I've talked to some of the doctors on Zoom and administrators, and they want me to maybe get more involved with speaking at the hospitals.
Funny, one of the speaking gigs, they had a picture of you and Dawn, and you had the white lab coat on.
Yeah, that was cool.
I wrote to Dawn, I'm just like, finally, you got to marry a Jewish doctor.
They gave me a Northwell doctor jacket that says John Ziegler Northwell, and they put it on me on stage.
Yeah.
And I was with... there was another speaker there. His name's Richie Kanata, who's Billy Joel's sax player. He's at Laws of 52nd Street. I'll give them a plug because they're amazing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. It's
and
like
he plays with Big Shot sometimes, too.
Richie's awesome.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
The drummer's Liberty DeVito. He's not a Billy Joel guy, but the keyboardist and singer is this kid, Dan Orlando. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they're just all super nice, and I've got to meet and become friendly with those guys a little bit because... I'm such an asshat myself. I go to this cancer thing. These people, the Monty family, who
Montroni.
I don't know is that the last name? No, it could be. They go by the Monties and
Chris and John.
Monty Saladinos. They donate so much money to Northwell. They do fundraisers. They have a brother, Don Monty. He died of cancer like 50 years ago, and they've started this foundation. So they sponsored this cancer thing I spoke at, this Cancer Survivors Day. Yeah. They invited me to the Crest Hollow. They have a big thing there to raise money. It's very expensive for tables. They invited Dawn and me to go.
Yeah, nice.
And we went there.
That's very cool.
And just such good people.
Yeah.
So is there any time that you think, like, I just want to go back to being the comic that the truth is you really can't, right? Like you can't escape the fact that this is always a part of you, and it's...
No, you can. Just stop talking about it.
I've seen you do sets, even recently, where you don't even mention being sick.
No, I don't. I don't have to do it. I pick and choose when I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I can gauge by the audience. It's usually an on-stage decision. Now, if I'm doing an hour, I got plenty of time to talk about that and get it. If I'm doing 15 minutes, I can't be like, so I got pancreatic cancer. You guys ever go to Dunkin' Donuts? Like, I can't just segue it. So I'll do that on longer sets. I've learned, because I do a lot of the Long Island theaters, and they're older. The crowds tend to be older at the theaters. And I'm like, I'm looking at the audience. I go, like half this room has cancer as I'm speaking.
Right.
Maybe it's not a good idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I pick and choose, and it also depends how I'm doing. If they really like me,
Yeah.
I'll take a chance and do it.
And you also talk about it like when you're trying to get a discount on things. Like my favorite story is like he was telling us about getting fitted for the suit for the wedding.
It's such a funny.
It's such a great story.
So this wasn't intentional, but Dawn and I noticed that if I bring up having cancer and tell our story, this classic love story about her being by me, everybody gives us ridiculous discounts. I've never asked for them. It wasn't our intention.
Yeah.
But
Hey.
yeah, if you're giving away discounts,
Yeah. I went through a pretty shitty time. I might
You
have
So-
earned that, buddy.
I started figuring out how do I mention this in a conversation without it being like, I can't do the Byron Allen. So like, so you like airplanes? Like, there has to be some kind of like, how do I?
You hate cancer, right, Vinny?
I can't just get fitted for a suit.
Yeah.
And then be like, by the way,
Right.
so this guy's fitting me for a suit. And I go to this place, Michelle Fox, good friend of mine, sends me to this place in Woodbury, but it's like a custom suit store. And she's like, it's not expensive. I go, it's not expensive in your world. In Ziegler world, it's expensive.
Very expensive.
So I go, but it's really nice. And it's my wedding. I want a nice suit.
Yeah, and it was beautiful, by
Yes,
the way.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I go in, and this guy is the owner, like 40 years in the business. A little dry, good guy. And I'm like, how do I tell this guy I have cancer?
Right.
Because the suit's going to be expensive. I need 20%. So he's cuffing my pants, and he just kind of looks at me, and he goes, what size jacket do you know? And I go, funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
I used to be. But then I got
56 long.
I lost a lot of weight. I was sick last year. No follow-up questions by this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he needs more information. So
Yeah.
I just go, from the chemo. Still nothing from him.
No.
So I'm like, all right. So I look at the tag. It's hanging on my sleeve. It's a little pricey. It's more than I want. It's double what I wanted to spend.
Yeah.
And I go, ooh, dude, I don't know. It's a lot of money for a suit I'm going to wear once. And he's like, well, you may have to wear it twice. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
my favorite dude.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
good.
That's hilarious.
So I got no discount. But
None.
there was a little old lady in there. I'll call her Sylvia because good chance her name was Sylvia.
Odds are, yeah.
Odds are. And she goes, I overheard your conversation. And I've been taking my son's hair for years and my husband, and there's no sales ever. So I go to Dawn. Dawn, there's no sales here. She goes, how do you know that? I go, because if Sylvia did her
said it.
diligence, and if there was a, trust me,
Jewish
she would have
lady,
found
yeah.
it. There's no, so they sell on quality, not price. And you know what? The service was amazing.
Yeah.
Hell of a suit.
It was fitted really nice. This is how, when you know people are experts at what they do. Like, I pride myself, if I produce a comedy show, that I know what I'm doing. I don't feel that confident in anything in my life. Let me run a comedy show, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And this guy was confident in that way. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Like Dawn said about my surgeon. She goes, I don't think I like your surgeon. I go, why? She goes, he's cocky. I go, yeah, that's the guy I want. What do you think? I want the wishy-washy guy? He's like, I don't know, could be.
Hey, John, what do you think?
Yeah, no, this guy, I go, he's not cocky, he's confident, which makes me confident.
Exactly. That's what you want. When you
So,
know,
like, I went in with the pants. I like a break in my suit at the pants. I like them a little longer. I don't like to see socks. I don't like floods. It bothers me.
Yeah.
It's the look now that everybody wears. You see their socks a little.
yeah.
You know what I
good.
mean? I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I go and I put the pants on, and I'm like, I'm old. I'm like, is this what the kids are wearing? I don't like it. And the guy comes in, he gives me a pair of shoes to put on. I try on the suit. This is already alterations are done. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if I like these pants. And he looks at me. He goes, we're not making them longer.
The guy knows.
And I go, all right. And then we went home and I Googled, and they're like, you should see if you bend to see a little bit of your sock.
Yeah.
And then I bought colored socks to match my tie. I went all out for
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
I'm very Conor
So wait,
McGregor.
so the story has a very sad ending that you never got a discount on the suit.
No, but
at
I
all.
crushed it on. I wish I can give these people plugs. There's these people who make these wooden flowers. They were on Shark Tank,
Yeah.
and the flowers were like $2,000. They're these fake. They last forever. Very nice. And Dawn called them and just told the story. And they were like $2,000. They gave them to us for like 70% off and free shipping and like catered to us. And it was so goddamn nice. And that was when we weren't looking for anything.
Yeah.
Now I mention it to anybody. I don't buy a chicken-colored Parm Hero without mentioning having cancer.
I know, right? Exactly.
I'm like, if you want some garlic knots, what do you get? Something.
And there was a big dessert table at the wedding full of Entenmann's. He had 100 boxes of Entenmann's, and he was telling me about it because we went out a couple nights before the wedding. We were hanging out at the bar at BK Sweeney's, and he's like, yeah, Dawn wrote them a letter. She may have mentioned the cancer.
She may or may not have mentioned, because they sent us some plaques and some boxes of Entenmann's.
It was great.
Entenmann's growing up, my favorite dessert.
Of course.
I've eaten it. I'm not bragging. I've eaten some really good restaurants, and I've had some very nice desserts. I've never had a dessert better than Entenmann's.
No.
It doesn't exist.
I bypassed every other dessert at your wedding.
So-
and went
Devil's
to
food cake?
Entenmann's.
What was it?
Everything.
I got everything.
everything.
I bought black and white cookies, the chocolate
Ooh.
chip cookies,
Oh,
the
God.
Pop'ems, the glazed Pop'ems.
Oh,
the
man.
best. I haven't even got to it, Hirschman. The donuts with the crumbs on them.
Oh,
That's
my
my
God. Those
favorite.
little beads?
Oh yeah,
When I
whatever
did
those.
those, I
Oh,
put a
my
little
God.
vanilla ice cream on
Mini
top.
Yes, you
chocolate
do.
donuts, and then I bought like 20 of the marshmallow cakes. You know, the marshmallow with the brown.
That's the, yeah.
Anyway, I had 50 Entenmann's left over at the end of the night. 50 unopened boxes.
Yeah.
I gave them out like wedding favors at the door. I'm like, what am I going to do with
What
this?
better favor is that than a box
best.
of Entenmann's?
It's the best. I bought the raspberry and cheese Danish.
Yeah, yep.
Which went. I thought that was going to be the one that I'd be stuck with. Those
No.
all went.
I
People like
had
the Danish.
30
Better than a
35
candle, better than a fucking a vase.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I bypassed everything. I bypassed the wedding cake. But I did one of those donuts. But I did take
You
some
had
of
an
the
ice cream bar?
I did take the ice cream. There was an ice cream bar there, so I put some ice cream on top of the donut and some chocolate.
So you
syrup.
made your own little Ziegler
Yeah,
special.
Exactly. What an amazing wedding, though.
How
It was
long
like,
is this podcast? Because there is something I do want to get to without. I
We
don't
got
want
about 15 minutes.
15
Just, I want to know before you
Sure,
get
go.
to your thing, was there Fizzy Ziggy served? Did you guys serve
It was
your
open
drink?
bar, top shelf, so
Yeah.
you could get a top shelf Fizzy Ziggy if
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's tell the audience what the Fizzy Ziggy, how it's derived.
It's not alcoholic. Because I'm one of the few comics who doesn't drink.
Yeah,
So I would always get cranberry juice and club soda and just call it a Fizzy Ziggy.
Fizzy Ziggy.
And then somebody put a splash of pineapple in there once, and it was a game changer. So then I like that. But if you add vodka to it, it's just the Bay Breeze.
yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, virgin
So I never
Bay Breeze.
drank, but then when I got sick, now I drink. Of course, I'm prone to become a diabetic from my surgery.
Okay.
So I try not to drink alcohol. So I do edibles and I smoke instead.
Okay, good.
But I like drinking a couple of little mixed vodka drinks while I'm watching a football game at
Nice,
night.
yeah.
I kind of
Look at
like
you,
it. But
you progressed.
I try not to because I got to watch sugars.
Yeah.
You've progressed really well. Cancer's been good for you. It's
Oh
really
yeah, I do all the shit I didn't do.
Exactly.
You've
And
come
it was
a long
just a
way.
phenomenal wedding, though. It was a very, before you get to what you were going to say, it was just a very kind of non-weddingy wedding. The ceremony was like 3 minutes long, and it was funny. We
didn't want a
did their
wedding.
Vows, yeah.
We wanted to be a
wanted a
party.
party.
I wanted a party. Like my biggest
Celebration.
regret, Dawn and I talked about it today. I said, the only thing I regret about our wedding is I didn't have a great time at my own wedding. Everybody tells you don't. You're busy. I had a really good buddy of mine flew in from California with his girlfriend. My friend came in with his wife from Miami. Friends from Myrtle Beach, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. I didn't get to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So my friends are here for the night. It's 5 minutes of bullshit, and then they're gone. And I was looking forward to this party where I hung out.
Yeah.
And that didn't get to happen, but you throw a party, you hope everybody else had a good time.
We
And it
did.
seems
Yeah, I
like
did.
everybody...
I hung out.
There was no
Just so you know.
stand up, sit down, toast. We didn't do any of it. Like the toast wasn't my idea.
Really, yeah.
The DJ came over and he goes, "You want to do a toast?" I go, "No." And he goes, "We already poured all the champagne." So I'm like, "I'll do the toast." But it's weird toasting yourself. You're like, "To me, I'm a great guy. Give it up."
Yeah.
Like, what do you toast yourself? So
Right.
I babbled for a little bit, and then Dawn behind me said, "Wrap it up," which is nice.
Dawn
hear.
gave him the light.
She give you a light? She
Hey,
flashed
their vows though killed. It was.
Dawn did better than me, which
Dawn
So
followed. Dawn had
Rabbi,
to follow
priest,
him.
what-
no,
what-
nothing religious.
Just
my friend.
Just to the piece or whatever.
No, not
yeah.
even. We got
Who was
married
even-
a
she
few
was
days
just-
earlier.
Yeah.
Oh,
She-
okay.
And even in when she was like, do you take John? Do you take Dawn? She was like, Dawn, do you promise to always watch John Ziegler's special, Getting My Affairs in Order?
Dawn gave me a
now
plug.
on YouTube. We gave him a plug in the vows and everything. It was funny. They killed. Dawn followed him with no problem at all.
Yeah. I told her when she got home, I was like, "You had one good set. Relax. Relax. Don't get too
Biggest
hard
set of
on
her
it."
life, though. The most
She had the
important
set of her
one.
life.
Exactly.
So here was my question: is because this has come up.
Yeah.
People know I have a money thing. Very generous guy, but a principle guy, and I'm very money oriented.
Sure.
Yeah.
Never wanted. When I say a money thing, not cheap. That's important. But
Frugal.
not even frugal. Just the principle guy. I'll go to a steakhouse. I spend $300. Fine. Somebody tries to screw me out of $2. We're gonna wrestle. It's not gonna happen. Like,
Right.
it's a principle thing.
Sure.
So the envelopes are hilarious because everybody has to act like, "Oh, you gave me. Oh, thank you so much. We want your envelopes."
Yeah, we need them.
So people are like, "How long after you are home until you open the envelope?" I'm like, "Home?" It says envelopes all over Dawn's car. Like
By dessert, they were open. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like home? Did you see I was in there? How many times I went to the urinal?
You were just tearing away.
No. So what we did, we didn't open anything. We'd open them that night when we got home. Kel Cagno, who's one of my favorite people and so funny.
So good to see him.
Yeah.
So, right?
He's
Wasn't it great to see him?
hilarious.
Because he's got a very busy, he works his ass off. He's got a kid, one on the way. He's very busy. He's building around his house, so he doesn't get to get out very often. 9:15 on Monday, my wedding's Saturday night. 9:15 on Monday, I get a text from Cal Cagno. Just says, "You already cashed my check?"
That's amazing.
It's 9:15. I go, I was on the curb like a Black Friday sale in front of the bank. I slept out like I was trying to get an iPhone at Best Buy. As soon as that bank opened on Monday morning.
That's
hilarious. That is amazing.
So,
and that's very Cal Cagno.
oh, this is so funny. And I go, well, what do you want me to hold them? Dawn's like, people hold the checks. I go, they don't, Dawn. So, it's funny going through the checks because you always have to say, we had a running commentary. It's just me and her alone in our apartment. Very romantic wedding night, by the way. Dawn had to crack out an Excel spreadsheet so we can track.
And
I
see your back that you threw out.
My back was out. I couldn't even walk. I threw my back out at my wedding. I couldn't walk.
Oh, Jesus.
Spasms the whole night. It was like one of these things. So we get home and we're opening. Dawn's going to listen to this and be like, you told people, what is wrong with you? So we opened the envelopes at night, but we had to do an Excel spreadsheet. We got to send everybody thank you cards. You want to know. But so we're writing and I'm like, Mike Keegan. And then we're putting like the dollar amount. I'm like, why are we keeping track of the dollar? That's not going to be in the thank you. Like, thank you for your very mediocre, generous, stingy, questionable gift. Like, we're not we're just going to say thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, keep the dollar amounts because I may need those for reference.
Yeah.
In
for
case,
future weddings.
Future somebody else. Like, if you get married, I go, what did Keegan give me?
Exactly.
Like, McKenna looked back. He got married this year. So he looked back what I gave him. And he gave me that plus $5.
Nice.
That's good.
And said he only got the 5 because I didn't have any singles on me. He wanted to give me $1 more.
Yeah.
So in his thank you card, he's not going to be listening this far in. He checked out 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, he checked out the intro.
I'm going to mail him a thank you card with $6 in it. So I still am $1. I have $1.
There you go. That's perfect.
I love that.
So I don't know what etiquette is because I had a running commentary on every.
Yeah.
That's the etiquette.
Card.
That's what
That's
people
what everybody
do.
Does, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did 20-something years ago. That's what you do.
I bet you still remember
Every goddamn one.
Yeah.
Every stiff. And there were a couple of stiffs. I hope. Did you get any stiffs or you don't know?
I know.
Yeah.
Do I not know?
Well, actually, comics, you probably got a whole fucking bushel load.
I was tearing cloth off my sleeve. It's an old Jewish tradition. No, I got about 4 or 5.
That's about right. That's about right.
Come around.
Yeah.
The ones that hurt. You can't, there are people who have to cancel like 2 days before.
Killer.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of
paid for the place already.
Yeah.
The worst, I feel bad. There's people, like you've been married, so you understand. A wedding is not easy. You can't invite everybody. You'd love to, but it can get, like we started with 50 people in a backyard. We ended up at 170.
Holy
in a catering
Jesus.
hall.
It ended up being
But there's
in a
people
big
that
room,
were,
too.
they were like, I like them, but they're not part of my life right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know his name. Andrew Bergen, if you know him. Real funny kid, nice kid. I haven't seen him in like a year. He's not around comedy anymore. And I'm like, I like Andrew. But I can't just invite everybody I've ever liked.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
So you have to cut some corners. But
Especially you'd have 50,000 people there.
yeah, I mean, then you also can check some W-2, see who may be worth squeezing in there.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
Exactly. Oh, he's got a day job, right? Yeah.
Like, what about that guy? I mean, kind of a dick, but I think he's like CEO.
Yeah.
That might be worth it. So there were some people that didn't make the cut, but then when few people bailed the week of, well, I paid for the. I've already paid. No, I don't even want a gift. I'm like, well, I'm paying for this plate.
Yeah.
If it's an empty seat or not,
Yeah,
so I might as
exactly,
Call up the nut man. Let's get the nut man here.
So I did call like a couple of people.
Yeah.
2 days before, my Dawn's like, isn't that insulting? I go, no, they know they didn't make the cut. I'm going to be honest. I'm like, look, somebody bailed. If you want to come, I'd love you to be there.
Yeah,
I don't think that's rude. Is that classless?
It's nice to make it on the B Squad.
Yeah, it's B Squad.
B Squad.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nice, yeah.
It's terrific.
Like
I
I
lived
called
my life on the B Squad.
You probably don't know these. They're very Tom Collery, real nice kid.
Yeah, I love Tom Collery.
Yeah, good guy. I called Tom because I like Tom. We're not like come to my wedding friends yet.
Yeah.
But I had a table where he's friends with like 8 guys at the table.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, he'll have a great time, and I like
course.
Tom a lot, and I foresee us being friends in the future. It's like, well, why not? I paid for it anyway.
Exactly.
Dawn was like, that seems a little classless too. Like, she wants to be. She's a girl. She's not. We're animals. Men are like, we don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, the wedding went off fine.
And
My
it's-
life didn't change dramatically.
No, it's not going to. It's the same life.
Dawn has a little bit more of a swagger to her.
Of course.
Right.
She's Dawn Ziegler.
She could be a little meaner.
Who wouldn't want to be her?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm trying to write this joke about it. I don't want to run bits on a podcast. Anyway, so you can tell when people are doing bits. They can tell their bits. I will have a bunch of stuff about the envelope, so those will be bits.
Oh, yeah.
But I said Dawn is like, right after we got married, I go, it's like you got tenure.
Yeah.
It's not that easy to get rid of you now.
That's right.
And you know it.
Yeah, she put her time in.
Yeah. It's like she got tenure. So there's a little more comfortability.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not used to saying wife. It's weird.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm not used to wearing this thing on my finger.
Look at that beautiful thing.
She wants me to wear
Attaboy.
one. Now, she bought me 10 silicone ones. Because I go to the
just
gym.
backups, yeah.
Well, because I go to the gym. I wore this to the gym the other day, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
So I wear the silicone ones. This is not an expensive ring. These are cheap. I got a black one and a silver one.
Yeah.
Guys get like, what do we get? Shit.
Yeah.
It was a fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's like, I got you an 8-pack. Like an 8-pack? But I don't care about it. Exactly. And honestly, you can't tell.
No, it looks like a... Yeah.
No.
Can't tell if this was
no one's
$1,000.
It's got a little
Nobody
glimmer-
cares what the guy's
glimmer
ring
to
looks
it. Yeah,
like.
it's nice.
No, nobody cares, right?
Nobody gives a shit. Yeah.
So she just likes me to wear it, but it's
Exactly.
fine. I'm used to it. But at the gym, I got to put the silicone one on.
Yeah.
And she wants you wearing it to the gym when you're all rippled out 6-pack. She wants you to have
So,
that.
have you seen my stomach? 6-pack.
I haven't
6
seen
scars
you. I
is
haven't
more
seen you in a
like
long time.
Yeah, he's been carved up the last couple of years though.
Yeah, so
No
about
more
5 months
carving.
ago, I had the hernia surgery, which is a whole mesh in my stomach. Major surgery. It was as bad as the Whipple surgery.
Was it as
Wow.
bad?
Yeah,
Cause topical pain, not doesn't affect your digestion.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Whipple you can't eat. And
Yeah.
shit weird. It's a horrible surgery.
Yeah.
The hernia surgery is just abdominal pain.
Yeah.
It's been 6 months. I still have trouble rolling over.
Yeah, I had
From my stomach.
I had hernia surgery about a little over a year ago, I guess, and it was uncomfortable for mine wasn't as severe.
this
as
was a
yours, though.
significant.
Yeah, I had it was a decent sized hernia, but yours was very.
Mine was the size of a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
And you had the transvaginal mesh also.
And I had the transvaginal mesh, but that was just a pleasure.
You know why I asked that to my doctor? Because all these people are suing for transvaginal mesh. I go, is the ab mesh different than the vag mesh? Like, am I going to get a...
Same mesh.
And my
Just
doctor...
the extra. A
My
little
surgeon...
extra.
I have such a great relationship with my surgeon that it's just kind of like, hello? Like, he just hangs up on me. Like, he doesn't want to...
So how,
He said those a long time ago. That's why there used to be those lawsuits.
Gotcha.
They don't do...
gotcha.
Those are old. People who had them years ago and are having complications now.
So how are you still going to the doctor a couple times a year? What's the plan now?
4 times a year.
4 times a
Scans
year.
every 3 months. They're moving it to every 4 months.
Oh, good.
And there's no real other blood work once every 4 months. There's not really much I do now.
No.
I'm still in a scary period
Okay.
because I feel like I beat cancer, and I haven't. Like, the type of cancer I have is very aggressive, and the first 2 years are vital. One guy tells me it's from the day you're diagnosed. My oncologist who goes, no, it's from when you stop chemo. Because chemo represses the cancer, so why would we count? So I've only been off chemo a year and a half. So I'm not
Okay.
even out of my 2-year period.
Okay.
So I keep acting like I beat this. And Tony could relate to this. There's a feeling, when I was sick, I just accepted that I was dying. Mentally. And it's a weird thing to say, but I was like, well, I had a good run. I got a good family, good friends, great girlfriend. I've had a good life. I do what I want to do for a living. I could have been in a cubicle for the last 20 years, but I go, life's been good, and I'm going to die. That was my attitude.
Yeah.
But then you start to live, and you realize how good you have it, and you have so many friends.
And how much you love life.
And how much well, yeah, I don't love it, but it's pretty good. I'm still living at the love life part, but I like life.
Yeah.
But it would hurt so much more now
Yeah.
than a year ago, if I just died. Now it would be like a cruel joke.
Yeah.
And I compare it to sports. It's another bit I tried to write that I never did. Is you're a Jet fan, right?
Yes, sadly, yes.
So if the Jets were losing
Yeah.
28-0,
Yeah.
and it's the fourth quarter, you accept it. You're like, they got their ass kicked this game.
Yeah.
We'll get them next week, whatever. And then you go to walk to the door of the bar, and it's 28-all.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And you get your hopes all up.
You mean Sunday night?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Same
Yeah.
thing.
And then you sit back down, and in overtime, it's a pick 6 on the first play. And you're like, you couldn't just lose 28-0?
Right.
Because that's one that haunts you
Yeah.
for months.
Yeah.
Those losses don't go away.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, 13
Yeah,
seconds.
exactly.
That's
yeah.
right.
If they just lost in regulation,
Yeah.
I was fine.
Right.
I get sick over that today,
Yeah.
that game.
100%.
Your doctors have to be thrilled, though. Year and a half, or whatever the date is. Obviously, it's been a year and a half since the chemo. They must be thrilled that you're progressing the way you have.
Yeah, my scans, everything. I got sick. I was going to Vegas August 4th. I went to Vegas, and a couple of days I was having this pain in my stomach, like a shooting pain, and I'm like, look, I don't want to get sick in Vegas.
Yeah.
And be in an emergency room with like gunshot victims and crack whores, like in Vegas emergency room. I've never been in it, but I'm going to assume it's not good.
Yeah.
So
Tupac's still there, I think.
Yeah. So I went to.
It's a long time.
I went to the ER before I went to Vegas, and they admitted me. Or they didn't keep me I was there for like 13 hours.
Yeah.
But they did every scan, blood. They did everything.
Were you freaking or no?
No.
No.
I'm used to, But there was a pain, and I'm like, this doesn't feel normal.
Okay.
They're like, you probably, from the hernia surgery, tore some scar tissue or something. They're like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But I had my scans done then, and everything was good. It's just part for the.
Part of the deal.
I'm more aware of my body.
Okay.
Like last night I had indigestion. Dawn's more concerned than me. We went out to this place in Lindenhurst called Ruby Soho's, good tacos. Ooh, and I got home and it was like in my chest. I was just kind of like, oof, salsa coming up, whatever. Yeah. But that's how this all started for me. Yeah. So as soon as this morning I wake up to 6 text messages like, you okay? How do you feel? How's your stomach? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I burped. I'm good.
Exactly,
good.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
But I mean, she went she went through the whole thing.
You're hypersensitive to the shit you go through. But whatever. No matter how much I try not to talk about cancer, it always ends up with the cancer.
Well, I mean, again, when you're in this type of setting, how do you avoid it? I mean, again, I haven't seen you in a while. I went from seeing you all the time here every weekend for a long time or a few times a month to not seeing you, and you even said yourself that it's a little weird that you're not here as much.
This was my home.
Yeah.
Like I was here all
You were here.
the time.
Whenever I was here, you were here. And you were here a lot more than I was.
all the time. And I'm not in the building. Now that I live back on Long Island, I'm hoping to be back around a lot more. It was hard when I was sick, and 2, I was living in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I wasn't back and forth.
driving back. And I wasn't here on Thursdays, Sundays. And if I was, I wasn't feeling great.
Dude, I always loved walking into the green room knowing you were there. And even if Anthony was breaking my balls, I loved him being there, and Lori. And those. Yeah, but those are the best days for me. Like those were I did the most amount of sets back then. I don't really perform much anymore, but sex I do now with you in the parking lot after the show. But yeah, man, we can't be any more appreciative of you coming in. We're super happy that you're doing well. We think about you, talk about you all the time. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up. We're gonna close out the show with you plugging what you have. Anything that you wanna tell us about?
Please watch my special.
So go ahead, repeat the information about the
John
special.
Ziegler Comedy. Everything, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, it's all John Ziegler Comedy. JohnZieglerComedy.com. And my special's there. You can get it on YouTube. I have a YouTube page. Again, John Ziegler Comedy. That's all I give a shit about is my special. I'm working a lot. I'm going to Florida. Mostly like these Jewish shows. I'm doing Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Yeah. Nice.
They have these places like the Villages.
Yeah.
I'm doing something like that down in Florida,
All
which
these
will be a
people
cool
with
experience.
herpes. Yeah.
Yeah, they all.
The old people
they all
always
share-
fuck
yeah,
and
they
have
all
all
share
this shit
herpes
and
with
have,
each other.
have crabs and stuff.
But it's besides that, there's no particular shows that I really want to plug. I got
So
shit
the
all over
special.
place.
So I'll say I've seen the special. I saw John's special around the same time that I watched one of my favorite comics, Gary Goldman's special, and the two reminded me a lot of each other because there was a lot of obviously great bits in them, but they were wrapped around.
There's one over obvious comparison there.
Yeah, tall, handsome Jews. That's right. So
well, that's a compliment because Gary Goldman, I think, is one of the best comics.
I love Gary Goldman.
ever,
I've met him multiple times. We've communicated, and his special, long story short, was about him going through the darkest part of his life, where he was going through severe depression, and he came close to maybe taking his life or whatever it was.
We tried to get him on tonight, but
yeah, so it was fine that you came in though. So the point is that there's definitely a comparison in the two specials. That there's the meat of it is the funny, but there's also a lot of serious. I can't recommend it enough. Watch John Ziegler Comedy special. And again, bro, we love you. Thanks for coming in. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. You know who you're starting to look like, by the way? I haven't seen you in a little bit.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
What's that?
What?
Okay, wait, you remember the rap band Third Base?
Yeah, that guy was good looking, man.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
He was handsome, third base.
He was an MC. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, he was a good looking guy.
Pop Goes the Weasel. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad looking guy, but you're starting to look like him a little bit.
Thank you, buddy.
Good for you. That's a
Thank you.
good compliment.
All right.
For the 4 people out there who remember
I
Third
do.
Base from 1987.
Yeah, exactly.
Pop Goes the
Before I
Weasel.
pop my weasel, what do you got, Keegs?
There's a couple things. Saturday night. First of all, definitely check out John's special, Getting My Affairs in Order. Saturday night I'll be right here at Governor's in the Giggle Room with my buddy Pork Chops and Little Mo Mozzarella, and that's going to be a fun.
How do you not have a nickname?
Hold on a second. Pork Chops, Little Mo Mozzarella. What's going to be?
And I'm Broccoli Rob.
No, you're not.
They call me Dominic Mozzarella.
Hey, Jimmy Dumplings.
They call me exactly.
I love it.
So I'm gonna be with those guys. But I got 2 shows coming up with Johnny Ziegler. If you guys enjoyed him, come check us out.
I love it.
We're gonna be next week on the 11th. We're gonna be at Docks in Island Park. Me, Ziegler, and Richie Byrne and Carla.
Yep.
And then on the 19th, we're going to be at Me and You in Bethpage. Me, John Ziegler, and Chris Monty. And that's going to be a great one. My cousin's coming out. It's going to be very cool. I got some family coming there.
And they have awesome food. Me and You
Food's
have
awesome there.
Food.
So, come see Ziegler on those shows. And come down to Governor's Saturday. Check out all the Governor's shows. They're awesome this weekend. They got Brian Scott McFadden's going to be here.
Oh, he's
Jason
a killer.
Salmon's going to be here.
Love Jason.
Oh, I haven't seen Jason in years.
Yeah, no.
I used to see him here years ago. I
Such
hadn't
a
seen him
great
for
guy.
a while, though.
And,
Yeah, I like Jason.
And Mike Gaffney's going to be at Brokerage. I love Mike Gaffney. Great guy.
Yeah.
Good.
Jersey boy.
Awesome. It's a little bit early yet, but you guys saw that I had put up a couple of weeks ago that it's been a minute since I've been on stage, but I've been getting inundated with people who wanted to see me get back up. So Mike and I are producing a show together, 12/1, Friday, 12/1 at the Brokerage Comedy Club, 10 o'clock at night. It's going to be me, Mike. It's going to be Richie Byrne, Patty O'Rourke, Brandon Lacaruba, and it's going to be a killer show. So for all you people that have been breaking my nuts about performing, go to govs.com and buy your tickets today. Tony Walker, let's hear what you have. Knock 'em Dead Comedy, something.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, October 14th, we're going to be doing one of our murder mysteries at McGuire's. It's a Halloween-themed event, so come on down.
Awesome.
Very
Very
nice.
good. Thank you guys for watching, for listening, for appreciating us like you do. Share it, post it, TikTok
Smash
it,
the subscribe button.
all that stuff. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.